Welcome everyone to DUG Lagos. DUG means Dynamics User Group. We are an international group, and of course, we also have local factions. At DUG, we believe in building community, we believe in encouraging connections, and we believe in empowering education. DUG was first founded in 1995, of course, and it started as an online discussion forum, and since then it has expanded to provide video content, training programs, and of course interactive virtual and in-person events. Just like what we're having now, we're actually having a virtual event. So of course we are a fraction from the DUG International community, and we are DUG Lagos. We have also other dynamic groups, of course, in Nigeria as well. So usually we have regional meetups, we have virtual and in-person events. For in-person events, we meet physically. And of course, we learn together, we share, and then we connect and network with each other. Now, DUG is free. It's totally free. When you're registering, nobody asks you to pay for anything, of course. So over here, what we just do is to make sure that you have the resources as an end user, as an implementer, and of course, as a reseller of Microsoft business applications to learn more about this application and software, okay? So it's our mission to support Microsoft Dynamics 365, Dynamics GP, and Power Platform. So if you have any friends or you have your colleagues at work who use Microsoft Dynamics or Microsoft products, please kindly invite them to this webinar. And of course, you'll be added to the community. Now, over here, we have rules of engagement. We believe in being very civil. We believe in being cautious to each other. Feel free to contribute to the meeting. If you have questions, there's going to be a time for questions, of course. So after the demo, we're going to ask if you have any questions, and then you can contribute. If you have suggestions as well, feel free to contribute. Let everyone participate. So what are meetups? Now, meetup is a place to connect with Microsoft Dynamics and Power Platform at regional level. Okay, so we have like customers, partners, people that have Microsoft licenses. We just come and stay together either online or physically, yeah, to discuss industry topics and then share ideas as well. So over here, your actions matter. Now, we also have Dynamics user group programs. Now, I had mentioned earlier that being a member of DUG is free, yeah? So, of course, I had also mentioned that we believe in building community, encouraging connection, and empowering education, okay? And that cuts across different aspects like Business Central, customer engagement, finance and supply chain, Dynamics GP, and then Power Platform. Now we have different kinds of products programs as well here. We have DUG forums. So we actually have like free online open forum discussions where professionals are there to answer any question you might have or something you might have maybe at work. You're confused about something or particular software, or actually even knowing how to integrate something. You can just ask that question on that general DUG forum, and then people would answer your questions. We also have virtual events all year round, just like what we're having now. So today we're actually having, this is our second webinar for the year. We had one last month and we're having one this month again. Yeah, so we usually have the webinars monthly. And hopefully sometime in the year, maybe by June, we're going to have like a physical meetup. So this is where DUG meetup comes in. Let me just put my cursor here so you can see. So this is where regional meetups are. And then we meet, we share, and there's also refreshment as well. We just have fun after learning. Yeah, so we have DUG conferences, like DynamicsCon event that takes place in person at various parts of the world. And we have DUG Team Up as well. And DUG conferences, I had mentioned that. So we actually have two types of DynamicsCon events. We have the virtual events, and then we have the in-person events. And also we have a DUG Scale Up, where on-demand training classes from field recognized Microsoft experts actually held. And we also have a YouTube channel. We have an international YouTube channel, and we also have a Dynamics User Groups Lagos YouTube channel. So whatever we are having here now is going to be recorded and of course sent to our YouTube channel so that from time to time you can go and then learn something. Okay. Now, this is for our year 2025, our regional DUG meetups. We are having one in Philadelphia. That's in the United States of America. Okay, that was March 12th. So that has already happened, actually. So we have one also in Canada, and that is for June 17th, 16th, and 17th of 2025. It's going to be taking place in Toronto. And we have one in West Africa. We're so excited about this one because this is about like us, right? And the planning is already going on right now. It's going to be taking place July 19th, 2025 at Accra, Ghana. And it's actually for free. You don't have to pay anything to be here. Okay, so all you need to do is just register. If you're interested, you can just register. I'm going to drop the link. Yes, so if you are in Ghana or if you can actually travel to Ghana on your own as well, that will be great. And we have one at East Africa, July 24th to 25th, 2025 at Nairobi, Kenya. Yeah, so for our regional meetups as a continuation, we have one in Geneva, August 21st, 2025, one in Ohio Valley, that's Ohio, August 26th to 27th, 2025. We have one in Copenhagen, that's Denmark. Yeah. September 4th, 2025. We have one in Texas for September 17th, 2025. That's Dallas. We have one in Tampa, Florida, January of next year. That's 2026. Yeah, so we are also having our DynamicsCon event. That's the one where you have to meet up. It's going to be happening in Chicago, Illinois. Yeah, it's going to be happening in Chicago, Illinois. And it's going to be taking place from May 13th to May 16th, 2025. Right. So you're welcome once again to DUG Lagos, and we are happy to have you today. We're going to be having an amazing webinar, very interesting one, something that will make you, if you work with Business Central, if you work with Power Automate, this is going to really help you. If you're a business owner and you actually use Microsoft software as well, and Dynamics software to work, this will actually really help you. So it's just a good place to be. And once again, you're welcome for those joining us. Now we're going to be integrating Business Central on-premise with Power Automate. Now there's also going to be a demo that's going to be done by our professionals. So just sit back, relax, and learn. If you have any questions, please just kindly note it down. We have a Q&A section here where you can click on and put in any of your questions. Yeah, so thank you. Thank you so much. So I'm going to be introducing who is going to take us on this webinar today. His name is Sherif B. He is a Business Central developer. So Sherif, you're welcome. And thank you for taking your time to actually want to train us today. Thank you so much, Sherif. Sherif, you have the floor now.
Yeah, thank you, John. Good afternoon, everyone. Please confirm that you can hear me.
Yeah, we can hear you, but you have to stay close, so it's kind of not very loud.
Is it better now?
Just keep speaking so I can be sure.
Oh, okay. All right. So, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to today's webinar.
Okay, so you're actually having a network issue and your voice is kind of far, so it's kind of noisy where you are actually.
Good. But can you make sense of what I'm saying?
Yes, you might just have to increase your tone. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. So, you can just give me, say, a minute. Uh,
Hello, Sherif.
Yeah, I'm, I'm here. Can you hear me now? Is it better?
Yes, it's better now.
Okay. Oh, thanks for that. All right. So welcome once again, everyone, and sorry for that, you know, challenge that I had with my environment, and yeah, I'm also having some network issues. So please, you can just, you know, let me know when possibly maybe I got off from the meeting. Thank you. So I'm going to proceed to share my screen. So kindly also let me know when you can see my screen. All right. Can anyone see my screen?
Yes, we can see your screen now. Thank you.
All right. So yeah. So today we'll be talking about how you can revolutionize your business processes uh, by integrating your business central on-premise with Power Automate. So that's what we'll be discussing today, and I'll be the one taking this webinar today. My name is Busari Sherif, like Joanne has mentioned, and I'm a business central technical consultant. And yeah, so I've had some years of experience working with business central and Power Platform in general. All right. So first, let me quickly do a brief introduction and then run through the slide, and then after that, I'll go straight to the demo to show us how this can be achieved and how it is done. So firstly, let me quickly just talk about what Business Central is. So Business Central is actually one of the application suites from the Dynamics 365 applications from Microsoft, right? So under that, under the Dynamics 365 applications, we have the CRM, that's the customer engagement. We have the finance and operations, and we have the Business Central, right? Of course, those other applications can also be, broken down into some smaller groups also, but that's just like the major segments that we have, or major applications that we have under the application suite. Also, it includes Power Platform as well, right? So, but Business Central is the ERP system that is used to manage, um, uh, the enterprise and operations of organizations. That's the internal operations of an organization. What I mean by that is that there are different organizations, right, and there are different processes that they carry out within the organization. So to manage, to streamline and automate, all of these processes, that's where the ERP system comes in. And one of the ERP system that we have is Business Central. So Business Central usually, actually it's really not something that is commonly said anymore. So before we used to say that Business Central is for small to medium scale enterprise. However, that is not the case anymore because we've seen how robust Business Central is over time, and you know, so that's really not a, a an accurate depiction of Business Central anymore. So Business Central can accommodate even large organizations' processes as well, right? So there are different processes and operations in your organization that you may want to automate. And with Business Central, you can do that. So, in terms of your finances, your sales, your purchase, your human resource, warehouse management, and what have you, operations, manufacturing, you know, whatever your process is in the organization, Business Central is that kind of system that helps you to do all of this, with little or no effort in different scenarios, right? While Power Automate is, one of the Power Platform tool that we use to automate repetitive tasks, right? So if you have recurring tasks that you do and you want to automate it instead of you doing it by yourself all the time, Power Automate can do this for you, right? It's just one out of the Power Platform tools that we have. So we have other tools under the Power Platform, and it includes, Power Apps, Power BI, and some other ones like that, right? So yeah, so Business Central can integrate with Power Automate, Power Apps, and every other ones, right? So, but in this case, what we'll be talking about basically is the on-premise aspect of Business Central. So Business Central has two major offerings, right? So we have the SaaS, which is software as a service, and that's like an online system that is majorly managed, like the infrastructure is majorly managed by Microsoft, and then you subscribe to it and you pay monthly for your subscription to use Business Central, right? So, but the on-premise is where you manage the infrastructure yourself. You install the application and you set it up. So the infrastructure and every other thing is managed by your organization, right? So you can host it on your server anywhere, depend on your organization policies. So that is what the on-premise version of Business Central is. So because this application is not, is not a SaaS version that is managed by Microsoft themselves, you are managing it yourself as an organization. So to connect to, other external applications, in some cases, it gives you, some issues or challenges in doing so. However, we have seen that organizations these days are actually moving towards the power platform aspect of things, right? Recently, but still in Nigeria, we have some organizations who still use the on-premise version of Business Central, and possibly some are still probably still using the navigation, you know the navigation application. So yeah, so whatever on-premise application you are use, whether the navigation or Business Central on-premise, yeah, you can also still connect it to your Power Platform in order to streamline your business processes and have the same data sync between the two applications. So, and that's what I've been trying to explain. So, and the importance of what we are trying to do today is one, it enhances your operational efficiency, right? So, because there are some tasks that possibly you want to automate, like we have mentioned, right? You want it to be automated instead of doing it manually, right? So, this helps you to do that. And then, of course, and the beauty of Power Automate or Power Platform generally is that you can do quite a lot of things without even knowing how to write a single line of code, right? So, and that comes in handy for organizations. Also, it ensures that you have real-time data synchronization between your Business Central. Most organizations use, especially the financial aspect of Business Central, right? And they have some other applications, so possibly built on Power Apps or some other, third-party application that they want to connect together. Say when something happened, a transaction happened on the third-party application, they want that data to also be the same when they go to Business Central without going into Business Central and typing those transactions manually again, right? And that's where this comes in. It also improves your decision making, right, and workflow notifications. So it also reduces human error, right? Of course, possibly so, because in this case now everything would be automated. And yeah, so we have other benefits as well that we can look at, considering what we are trying to do for most organizations, or for all organizations that are using the on-premise version of Business Central. So I've mentioned some of this while I was talking about the importance, right? So it also enhances reporting, right? Get real-time insights with automated reports, right? It also gives you the seamless data flow, right? So all of these things are actually benefits that comes with you trying to automate your, whether third-party application or your Power Apps application, right, with Business Central, so that you can have a single source of truth, right, for all your application, right? When I use single source of truth now, what I mean actually is, yeah, it could mean something else, but what I'm talking about right now is the fact that the data, the same data that you have in whatever third-party application, that is the same data that you will have in your Business Central environment. So there will be no need to manually do, all the jobs anymore. So what we are going to do and how it works is that first you need to identify those processes that needs, automation within your organization. Is it sending approval for invoice, or data synchronization in the sense that, I've been mentioning earlier. I've mentioned earlier that you may have third-party application that you want to speak to Business Central, or the other way around, you want Business Central to speak to that third-party application, right? So you first need to identify: is it you want to send mail when something happens? You want to, want to perform a task or something when something happens in Business Central, or when something happens on the other application, right? So you need to first identify what is it that requires automation within your organization. Then you also need to now configure your Power Automate to be able to interact with Business Central, right? So we are using Power Automate now. So you can actually connect your Business Central on premise via different other tools, right? But what we are checking now is, because this is Microsoft's systems, right? And then there are a lot of systems or tools that Microsoft has, and then for these things to, collaborate together seamlessly. And so that's why we are using Power Automate. All right. So you connect via your custom connectors and your APIs from Business Central or the other third-party application. Then you set up your triggers, your conditions and actions, and then, to automate your workflow. And then having done this, you need to now test, and monitor and optimize, your application as time goes on for performance enhancement. Right. So there are different use cases that we can do. So one of them is automating invoice approvals, which automatically route invoices for approvals based on whatever rule that you define when you are creating your Power Automate flow. Then you can also do customer record synchronization. You can do this, say maybe you have some other platforms where your customer engage, with, possibly maybe some third-party application, maybe you build some custom application in Power Apps, or some other, maybe Microsoft Form, or whatever the case is, so you can bring those data back into Business Central, and then to automatically generate purchase orders based on inventory levels, right? And also task notification to send alerts and reminders for pending approvals or tasks that needs to be carried out, right? So of course, every system have their own challenges, but yeah, with every challenges there are also solutions to it, right? So first one, we have the security challenge, and and compliance that concerns connectivity issues. So what we do is to implement, that's what the solution for that is to implement role-based access and data encryption. So what I'm going to show us today is not going to be everything that there is to, you know connecting your Business Central to Power Automate or third-party application through Power Automate. It won't be everything that there is, but I'm going to give you the background, the framework of how this thing happens, then you can then expand on it, as a developer or as a consultant, an organization, a partner, or whatever you are, right? So another challenge is the connectivity and integration complexities, right? So, but what we have here is to use Microsoft certified connectors for seamless data exchange. So, and that's what we'll be doing during the course of this demo. And yeah, so what do we now need to do? First, to reiterate what we said, then you identify the processes that needs automation in your organization. Then you set up your Power Automate flows to do that, to automate those processes. Then you keep monitoring and then also optimizing your workflows for enhancements. So that's it. And I'll just go quickly to the demo right now. I will stop sharing my screen and then I'll share again to share another screen. So please confirm that you can still hear me.
Yes, we can still hear you.
Oh, right. Thank you. So kindly confirm that you can see Business Central right now.
Yes, we can see Business Central. Trying to sign in,
Yeah,
sorry.
yeah, to sign in. Thank you. So this is a Business Central on-premise environment. As you can see, you see that I have it on a local host, right? And then I'm trying to sign in, and the username that I'm using is Rona. That's the name, and I have my password, which is hidden, right? So let me just quickly sign in and just show you around, one or two things, right? So as you can see, this is the Business Central environment, and it is an on-premise environment, right? So which means that this Business Central, as you can see, is actually on my own computer. But I want to be able to connect to this Business Central application outside of my computer to get data from it, and possibly, you know, depending on your organization, send data back to it, right? Perform some operations from the third-party application, make it reflect on Business Central, and that's as far as you can go, even more than that, really. So yeah, so there's quite a lot of things that you need to set up in your Business Central, right? So depending on which route you want to go through, so it will determine how you want to, set it up. So I'll just briefly talk about few things, and then so and then I'll proceed with the route that I want to show us. So firstly, let me show you what we do. You know, so I have web services here. So this web services allows me to expose a table in Business Central as an API or OData to any other third-party application. Now, in this case, to Power Automate. So for me to do that, I'll just say new, right? And then I can say, what do I want to expose? I want to expose a page. What do I want to expose in a page? Let's say maybe customer. I'm just using that as an example. I'm not sure customer is not exposed yet. So yeah, so I can say customers, as you can see. So when I pick this as customers, then I can just give it a name, say customers as well. And then once I'm done, I will say publish. So as you can see this column here, it says published, then I'll check it to publish it. So once I click that, I can reload this page. And if I check my customers again, you can see that customers, that's the first row. You can see now that I have this whole data before URL, so I can use this to connect to Business Central from my third-party application, and also I have the SOAP URL. So, but for the sake of this demo, right? Yeah, I could also use the customer, but I'm going to be using employee. So I'll be using this and then this, and if time permits, I also use the customers to show us as a demo, right? And these are the two URL, that's the OData URL that I'll be using. So this is just one step out of it, right? Another step to do is to, now this one depends on you what approach you want to go, right? So this approach determines what kind of authentication you want to use to connect to Business Central. So in this case, I'm using the nav user password. That means that I'll be using uh, uh, username and password. You saw when I wanted to log in, when I wanted to sign in, it showed username and password. And what is responsible for that is this nav user password. However, there are several other credential types that I could use to log in or authenticate myself into Business Central. These are other ones, but another common one is this Windows. So Windows is the same login credential that you use to sign in into your computer. So that's your Windows if you are using, a Windows system, right? So you are using the Windows credential to sign in into your computer. So you can also use that to sign into Business Central, right? There are some other configurations that could also be done at this level. So I could also have exposed my Business Central to be able to, so that for me to be able to access it externally, not just within my on my own system alone. So in that case, so instead of just having local host here, then I could have something as cd www.sherifbc, something like this, and then maybe several, maybe uh, okay, so something like this, APC 210 or something like this. So it will have my own. Okay, sorry. Uh, I can have the .com there, right? So it will have our URL, like that in an organization. If this is what the case is in your organization, so whichever route you want to go to, so this also would now be required to determine what kind of authentication method you want to use to connect to Business Central. So, but in this case, this environment is not accessible outside. So, and it's intentional so that I could show that even if your environment is just an internal organization, internally reached, so you can still connect to it via Power Automate. So, but if as it is now, I my environment, I cannot access it outside of my computer. So the next thing for me to do, because I want to access it outside of my computer, I need to download something called on-premise data gateway. So on-premise data gateway. So, and this is by Microsoft themselves, right? So, yeah, so we have two kinds of this on-premise data gateway. So one is the for Power BI, while one is the other one, and that's just the normal on-premise data gateway, and that's the one that we'll be requiring to use on, I mean, for this demo. So let me just type download. All right, so I could use this link. Then uh, once it opens, I can download it. I've already done some, steps because of time, right? To meet up with the time. So, but the next is just to download the on-premise data gateway. Once you have downloaded it, then you install it. After you install it, it will request that you sign in into the system, into your on-premise data gateway, and then you need to create a gateway. So I'm going to show you what that looks like. Just give me a second. So this is what it looks like after you have installed it, right? I'm going to open this just to show uh, what it looks like, you know, after it has opened. Although, of course, I have gone ahead to do some configuration, you know, just to prepare for this webinar, right? So, but this is what it looks like when you first open it, and then you sign in. So you sign in with your credential. Uh, just permit me to go and copy my credential and come back. Just a minute. I'll share my screen again. Just a minute. All right, I'm sharing my screen again. Please let me know when you can see my screen. Can anyone see my screen yet?
Yes, we can see your screen, Sherif.
Oh, okay, thank you. So I'll just need to sign in, but I have the on-premise data gateway set up already. What's in there? So, pardon me. There seems to be a network lag on my end. So and then I'll try to sign in. Oh, this is the password. I hope it's correct. Oh, okay. So I'm sure I remember the password. Let me try. So, uh, sorry, I don't know. So let me just go ahead and check first, and then just a second. So, but this is just the process. Once you are able to sign in and go into your just a second. I'm trying to get the password. All right. So I have a authenticator, and then So I'm waiting for it to complete authentication. And once it completes authentication, so there's possibly uh, something will happen that it would have skipped a step because I already have created a gateway before now. So it's just going to sign me in. But in your own case, it will not bring you here directly. So it's going to require that you supply your gateway name, right, that you want to create, and then some other detail. It's just seamless, just like normal way you install any application. And but what is important is that this you can see this West Europe here. That's the region where my environment is residing, right? So whenever you are creating an on-premise data gateway, it has to be the same region where your hello, can anyone still hear me?
Okay, we can hear you now. I actually lost you for a moment,
Oh,
but we can hear you now.
okay.
Yes.
All right, thank you. So I was saying that so what's important, one of the most important things here is that your region where you are creating your gateway must be the same region that you have on your Power Platform admin center, right? Where your Power Automates that you want to use, I mean, the account or the environment that you want to use to connect to your gateway, they must be in the same region, right? So in this case, mine is West Europe. And when you are doing the configuration, you will see something like this, a link or something like that you can click to change your region. It will list all regions, available regions for you, and then you'll be able to see it. So that's how it works. So once you have completed setting it up, then the next thing would be to sign in, just like I have signed in, and then you will be able to see the same thing like I am seeing right now, right? So then, as having done this, to some extent, we are cool, we are good to go, right? So the next thing would be to go to my Power Platform environment. Now, if I look at uh, my Power Platform environment, I mean Power Automate environment now. Um, so if I go to my Power Automate environment, I can see now that if I come here and say more, under more, let me show you how I got here. Under more, I can say discover role. And then once I want to know, I want to confirm that the gateway that I created was okay, right? It's actually created successfully. Then I can come here after I said more, discover role, then I'll say gateways. So every gateways that I have created on my Business Central server or on the computer where my Business Central is residing, then I will be able to see them here on my gateways here. Just waiting for it to load. So, and then sometimes you may encounter some error when you are trying to install the on-premise gateway on that environment. So usually a common error is something that it will tell you that you do not have the permission to create uh, data gateway. So what you do in that case is go to your admin center. That's your Power Platform admin center, right? You can navigate from here like this and then click on admin center. Yeah, so it takes you to the admin center. So once you are on the admin center, can then go to let's wait for that to load. So now our gateway is showing. So I can see now that this is the same gateway name that I created there. And you can see that this is my email address here, right? So if I click on this now, so I can see that my gateway is actually online. So if something is not right with your gateway, it will show you here whether it is offline or online, right? So and now I get a new a message here that says that there is a new gateway version available, right? So I could also go here and click it, download that same gateway, I mean the new version of gateway on my uh, Business Central server, and then update it to the new one, right? So, but what's important here now is for me to be sure that, to ascertain that my gateway is online here. So, depending on who you are in your organization, right, and your permission or role, so sometimes you may have that difficulty in creating that gateway or configuring the gateway on your server. So what you do is come to your Power Platform Admin Center, come to Data and Preview, right? So let's say I want to grant access to someone to be able to what's it called now? To be able to set up a data gateway on on our server. So I'll turn this on, tenant administration. That's what I want to do. Then I'll click on these three dots and I'll say manage gateway installers. So it shows that currently I am the only one that have the permission to be able to install gateway. Whether Power BI, you can also, this process that I'm actually walking us through is something that works with Power BI, and not just even when you want to connect to Business Central alone. You can connect to several other applications within your within your organization on your server. So it's not just for Business Central. I could even use this, just this simple connection right now, to be able to connect to my directories within my local computer. So what I need to do now is to search for who is the user that's having that trouble signing in. So I could say, okay, Joan, then I will pick Joan and then I'll grant her access and say add. So in this case now, when Joan tries to install a gateway on that environment, she will be able to do that. But outside of this, she will not be able to install. So that's a common uh, uh, problem that comes with that. So I go back to my gateway. Now I can see that I have a gateway. Then the next thing is for me to create my connection to Power Automate. Now, because of the kind of environment that I have, which is not accessible externally over the internet, right? So that's the reason why I'm using the gateway to connect to it. Remember that. So that's the reason why I'm using gateway to connect to it. If my environment, in this case my Business Central, is accessible over the internet, then I'll probably not need to go through the route of gateway. So I'll just use the API directly, and then I could use Postman to test that, the connection and get the data and send data back. But in this case, because my environment, and that's the worst case, right? What could be worse than that? So that it's just on our own local machine. So now the next thing for me to do is to create a custom connector. So, and that's because my environment is not, accessible over the internet presently, right? Then I'll say discover all. But if your environment is accessible over the internet by default, you can just go to any computer, any browser, then type www.yourenvironment and Business Central, your version, and then you enter, and then you can sign in. Then you will not necessarily need to create a custom connector in this case. So what you just need to do is just go to your Power Automate flow and create a flow to connect to Business Central directly. But because we are using a local environment, so we will not go that route. So the next thing now is, after I said more, then discover all, then I will see custom connectors. So I can click on custom connectors to create a new custom connector. This custom connector allows me to define what kind of action, what kind of transaction I want to perform with Business Central. So I have a sample one here that was created, but I will go ahead and create a new one. I will say create from blank. So I'll give it a name. I'll say DUG connector, right? And then I'll say continue. So this takes me here. So I could change this connector logo, right? If I don't want it, but that's not my priority right now. I could also change the background color of the logo. That's also not my priority. So I will just try and give it a description. A custom connector. This is quite required, right? A custom connector to connect my Power Automate environment to business central on-premise. All right. So I'll give it a description that way. Now remember, because I said we are connecting to this environment which is locally on my own PC, right? We are connecting to it via the gateway. So what I'll be doing now is that I'll check this box that says that connect via on-premise data gateway. This gives me, that enabler to be able to connect via the gateway that we just installed, configured, and signed into to create our gateway. So this gives me the enabler to actually connect to that. Now, because it is also still a local host, but that's my business central environment. So I'm using HTTP, not HTTPS. So I'm going to change this to HTTP. The next thing now is to supply the hosts and the base URL. So I'll go back to my business central environment. Remember that let's use this one first. Remember that so that we created this we created a customer data endpoint for us to be able to connect to business central, right? So but in this case I'll start with the employees uh, data URL. So I'll start with this one. So this is the first one I will be using, and then so this is the URL that we have here. I'm going to copy this because this is what is required to configure my custom connector here. So the host here now, I'm going to paste it and I'll remove up to this 200, and then I also remove HTTP blah blah blah. So I'll leave it in this case. So in your own case, if your environment is online, if you are using HTTPS, you use HTTPS. If you are not using custom connector, I mean if you are not using on-premise data gateway, you don't need to check this. So you just leave this. And then if you are using HTTP or HTTPS, which I assume that you'll be using HTTPS once you have configured your credential and every other thing, certificates on your business central to be able to access it outside. So you'll be using this. But because our own case is on-premise data gateway, I'll take this again and then take this. So the host now is this Sherif VM, and this is 7048. This is the port number for those of us that are familiar with Business Central on-premise environment. So we deal with different ports in on-premise, right? So 7048 is the port number for my um, for my OData services, right? So that's 7048. Then the next thing now is I'm going to paste this again. I could just type it, but I'm just pasting it so that you can see, what I'm doing. So the next thing is to supply the base URL. So in this case, the base URL will be BC200. So depending on what kind of business central on-premise environment you are using, so let me cancel this and show it again. So now you can see that this is the complete URL, right? And my own environment or my server, my instance, Business Central instance is BC200. That's the one we are using to run this demo. In some cases, your own may be BC210, maybe BC220, maybe BC230, depending on, or maybe BC240, right? So, but from your URL that you have copied, you are going to see it there. And that's the reason why I am pasting it so that you can see that I'm not just typing something out of the blue, right? So, our environment, this is the URL we got from Business Central. So, this is our environment. So, I will say the base URL is BC200 because that's what we want to connect to. Then the next thing is to go to security to define my security. So what kind of authentication do I want to do? Remember that when I want to sign into that Business Central environment, I had to put my password and then username. So and I when I opened the Business Central administration tool, I showed you um, the credential type that is nav user password. So nav user password, the authentication type here now will be basic authentication. But if your organization does not use do not use nav user password, if their password or their credential type is Windows authentication, then you will choose Windows authentication. That is NTLM. So, but in this case, I'm using nav user password, so I'll say it is basic. So basic allows me to be able to supply my username and password. So I'll say this is just a label to tell me what is what when I want to sign in, so that I will get it. So in this case, now I say okay, the parameter label for username, I call it username. Parameter label for password, I call it password. Then the next thing is to define my actions within within Power Automate. What do I want to do? What kind of action do I want to perform with my Power Automate to Business Central? So I would say new action, and then I would say what I want to do is fetch employee. So I'll give it a summary. I could, depends, I don't want to type too much words, right? Then I could also give it a description. Yeah, if in your case you can type much word, it's fine. But this one has to be a single word. So I would call it fetch employee as well. But first I'll put a space and then fetch employee, right? So it's giving me a warning that it has spaces. So this one does not need space. So and this is how it's supposed to be, right? That warning is gone now. So now then the next thing is to say, okay, oh, I want to use the URL that I got from Business Central to connect now. Then I'll say import from sample. What I want to do is to get the list of employees from Business Central. Then I'll say get. If I want to delete someone or a record from Business Central, I'll use delete. If I want to post, a new record to Business Central, I will do that. I can do put, I can do patch, with Business Central as well, right? So I can do patch, get, delete, and post, right, with Business Central. But in this case, what we want to do is just to get the data from Business Central. I would use that same URL that I copied from my Business Central environment. I'll paste it here, and that is all that is required here. Then I'll say import. Now I can see that everything looks fine because I can see it says validation succeeded. Once I've gotten to this place, I can then say create connector. So this helps me to create the connector. That is the DUG connector that we have been trying to set up since. So now once it is finished creating, then I can go ahead and test my connector to see if I'll be able to fetch data from Business Central. Now I can see that connector has been created successfully. I can see that everything is fine, right? Then next thing is to go to test. So to test my connector, I will need to create a connection to Business Central via the data gateway. Now I will say new connection, and then it will request me to sign in. So not now, that one. So I'm waiting for it. Okay, it has now shown up. So remember when I was trying to fill the security, when I picked basic authentication and then I typed password and username and password on some fields earlier. So that is what is responsible for this that is showing here. The username that I typed there is what is showing here, and the password that I typed there is what is showing here. The credential or authentication type that I picked basic instead of and not Windows authentication. So that's why you are seeing it here. and my gateway that I created on my Business Central server, where my Business Central is located. That's where your gateway needs to be installed. That's what I've created, and that is what is showing here, right? So the next thing now is for me to sign in, just the same way I signed uh, to Business Central on my Business Central environment. Remember, I used Runner as my username, and then I use whatever my password is. Whatever your password is, you can use that as well. So hopefully I remember the password here. So then once I've finished supplying these two fields, then I'll say create connection. If everything goes well, I should be able to see my connection that I've created. So I would go here and click refresh connections, then it will show here for me. So, and as you can see, this is my connection. If you check the what's it called now? If you check the dates, you can see 2025 March 22, and the time is 12:20, right? This is 1 hour behind our own current time in Nigeria. This is using GMT. So our time is GMT plus one. So that's why you're saying it as 12:20, right? So I've created a new connection. Then the next thing is to test my uh, action that I've created. And then I'll say test operation. If everything goes well, I should get the status 200 OK as my response. But now it's saying I do not have access. It says authentication invalid credential. So it means that the password that I supplied was wrong. So let me create a new connection again. So sorry for that. No, I'm not really used to cramming passwords. So I will just try again with a new password. Hopefully I remember. And if not, so 401 generally, you know that, if you are familiar with APIs and status code. So 401 means that my authentication was not valid, right? So, and that's it. And that's the message you are seeing here, that server has rejected the client credential. So I'll refresh this again. Now I should see two connections. You can see. And this top one is the latest one. Let me try again and see if my password is correct this time. And if not, I'll check again. And then if not, I'll just go with the one that I've created earlier. So we're just waiting for it. Okay, yeah, I think I got it right this time. All right, that's great. So now you can see that the status is now 200, right? And then this looks good. When you get 200 status, it looks good for you. And now you can see I have my employees now come back to me in form of JSON. Now I have number one employee, I have two, I have three, I have four, I have five, I have six, seven, and eight. So if I should go back to Business Central now, so if I should go back to Business Central now, and then I go to my employees page on Business Central, just to show you that we have the same thing. So you can see that we have the same number of employees: one, two, three, four, five, six, seven, eight. Right? So now my Power Automate flow is now fully synced. It's now able to speak to my Business Central, at least to fetch data from Business Central. Right? But you will notice that the data that is coming there is just maybe 4 or 5 fields. But I want more than 4 or 5 fields. So I've already created, another one, another connection, you know, a form of an API to be able to connect to Business Central. So, and I will be using that one to for to create another uh, this one. This is it. To create another connection to Business Central. If you notice, this is the first one. The last word here says employees, but this one now says employee API. So this one was customly created by myself. And now for me to have that one, so I'll just go back to my definitions and then I'll say new action. So I will say fetch employees and then I'll say two. I'll say fetch employees and I'll say two and then I'll say fetch two. Let's just stay there. And now the same process, import from samples. I'll say get and I'll paste my URL here and I'll say import. And then once I finish that, I will say update connector. So while that is updating quickly, because I see that my time is right spent already, I've even, I think I've exceeded my time. I hope you guys can still hear me.
Yes, we can hear you.
Thank you. So while that one is just waiting, I mean loading, let me just quickly copy for the customers and do the same thing for customers. So So I'll copy this URL. So the same thing if you want to connect to Power BI, right? So now I have fetch 2 and then if I check, it says validation succeeded. Then I'll just create another one. I'll say fetch, let me call just call it customers, and then customers, customers. Right. So and then import from samples and then get and paste this import. So once that is done, and then I'll update once again. So now, after this update, I'll go ahead and test the custom connector now, and then test the two new actions that I just created within my custom connector. So now that is updated, I'll go to tests. I'll just try and use the same connection that I had before, but in this case now I'll say fetch two. You remember when we did fetch one, we had just small data for each of the employees, but this time it should be more than that because this one now exposed more fields for us to be able to see on businesses. I mean, on our Power Automate. You can see now that we have more fields for just the first employee alone now. So, and if you have a business central developer in-house again, they can do all of this for you. Expose more fields for you to be able to see on your Power Automate. Then quickly, I'll check the customers as well. Now I'll test for customers. Everything goes well, I should get 200 okay as my status again, and then gives me, yeah, everything is well. So now if I scroll down, I can see that I have my customers now, right? You can see the customer number, the customer name, the the other details about the customer. I have other customers like this, so many of them. So this is how you connect your Power Automate to your Business Central. So the last thing now is to for me to just create a new flow and be able to use my custom connector in my flow. So let me, let me start flow right so that I can be manually triggered. So I may not go too deep on this one. This one is now the common level of every it's just to use our custom connector that we have created, right? So that's all. So I'll create a new action here, be able to use my flow, right? So I'll come here, say by connector, and then I'll say custom. So remember that we gave it a name, we call it DUG connector, and this is it. So I'm going to pick it here. If I had logo for this connector, it will show here. So, but I didn't have the logo. So in this case, I'll just say customers. So I'm connecting to my customers, right? Then, yeah. So if I needed the new connection to it, then that would show for me here. So if I run, let me say compose. So I could pick any of those three, right? Any of those three actions that we defined. And then I want to fill it with uh, yeah. So I want to use the body that is coming from my customers, right? Because once this is successfully fetch my customers from Business Central, it will return a JSON body for me. Then that body, I want to display it inside my compose. So I'll just save and test. And that concludes this. Oh, sugar. Let me just quickly do this. I think this would clear it off. Oh, awesome. So let me save this and then I'll test. So once it's finished save, I'll save test manually and then test and then done and run through. So if everything is fine, my uh, uh, okay. So said I rejected my credential. So I guess we need to sign in again. So let me change the connection. So I have the new one because I'm not sure if that's. So I say UG, then I'll supply my username. Owner. I think before we start, I should get the password right. So credential type is still basic. Then I'll pick my gateway again here. So this is just a one-time thing to do here. And then I'll say create. Yeah. Let's test again. Save and test. Manually. Alright, I'll say continue. One flow. And then done. So if all is well, then I should get success now. Alright, looks like it is successful. So if I come to my compose, you'll be able to see that I will have my data here. It's a show output. As you can see, I have the same like before. and custom connector. So, and this is how you can use this, and then depending on what uh, action you now want to perform, what process you want to, you know, automate, you want to, streamline with between Power Automate and the another application to Business Central. So you can then begin to tweak this. But this is just the groundwork. This is the framework. This is the foundation for connecting your Business Central to, other third-party application using the Power Automate and on-premise data gateway. So thank you everyone for joining us. Thank you for listening in, and I'll hand over back to Joan.
Thank you so much, Sherif. This was really insightful. Thank you very much. So if you have any questions, any at all, please kindly raise your hand using the button above, or you can choose to ask it via the Q&A button. Okay, so yeah. So any questions? Or any suggestions as well? If today's webinar was really satisfactory to you, could you give an applause or a thumbs up so I just know, please? Thank you, Toby. Thank you. All right, so moving on, it seems nobody has a question. Actually, this session was recorded, so it's actually going to be put up on our DUG Lagos YouTube page. And yeah, if you're new here, you're going to get an email and then you'll be added to the DUG community group as well. And I think at the same time, the email will be sent to you. In the same email, you see links to our Twitter accounts, links to our Instagram account, and also a link to the YouTube account. Thank you very much. Thank you, Sherif. Any question, please? No questions. Okay, thank you. All right, then. I think we'll just go up to the next thing. If you check the chat room, there's a link that has been put there for you to. Okay, so there's a question. Someone's raising their hand. I can't seem to see if is there a question. Someone actually raised their hand briefly. Okay, so moving on. If you go to the chat room, you notice that there's a link that has been sent there. So that link is actually to rate our speaker for today. I believe Sherif did a great job. So just kindly go and use that link. Just click into that link and then rate him. Thank you. Sherif, is there any other thing you might want to add?
No.
Okay. Okay. All right. So I'll just give us few minutes to actually rate our speaker. So I'll just give a minute for that. So just kindly click onto the link and then rate our speaker. If you're done, please just kind So while that is going on, I would like to also announce that we're going to be having another webinar next month. That's for the month of April. Usually our webinars take place on the third Saturdays of every month. And as I had mentioned earlier, at some point in the year, maybe towards June, we're going to be having a meetup, a regional meetup. And it's going to be an in-person event. And of course, it's going to be free. So please just keep your fingers crossed. And when the announcement is made, would love to see you there. I mean, being here already, you're a part of the DUG Lagos community and the DUG international community. So thank you so much. Thanks, everyone on this call. Thank you, Sherif, our speaker. Thank you, Nuruddin Ali Balogun. Thank you for taking your time to upgrade your skills. Thank you, Oladimeji Adeyelu, Oluwafemi Dada, Oluwatobi Fatusin. Thank you. These are our DUG executives. Thank you, Oluwatosi Adepoju. Thank you, Timilaine, and other people that had joined us well, but had to leave for some reason or the other. Some people actually sent me messages. Thank you, Adunola Adebesan, Ayola Adetola, Kikile Mogugu, Obina Ebosima, and Angela Onoha. Thank you very much, and hope to see you next time. Hope to see you soon. All right, bye. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.